a suit and tie and get your hair cut way up high. Get yourself a lawyer, son. You're gonna need a real good one.
And we have the best for you. David Whiting, Melbourne solicitor, taking your calls and offering some legal advice for free. Don't have to pay a cent for this. If you call us, 1300 222 774, 1300 222 774. Many people have already grabbed a spot on that line. David Whiting, good morning.
Good morning, Virginia.
Bit of news for you, as we heard just then in the news headlines from Tim. Nicola Gobbo's appearance at the Lawyer X Royal Commission has been delayed. The Commission's been told she's indisposed. And it's now, unclear when she will appear. She was going to give that evidence from an undisclosed location, and only her voice heard, and her face not seen.
I just wonder at what point the Royal Commission will say,
Enough.
I'm issuing a warrant for her arrest, bring her in.
It's been tricky enough to get her, hasn't it?
Well, my view is that there are a whole lot of people who know exactly where she is, and so therefore I would have thought that at the end of the day it would not be impossible unless she's out of the country.
You call her lawyer and you say, get her here, or get her to the place where she was supposed to be for this telephonic hookup.
Yes, maybe that's where she is, but she is indisposed, whatever that, the range of things that might constitute.
Now, also, we were speaking with Ari Freiberg about the growth in Victoria's remand population and that driving an increase in prison sentences, and also an increase in the Victorian court's use of time served prison sentences. What's your reflection on that?
The bit that concerns me is the number of people who are on remand. That's increasing to 38%. So over a third of the population are people who we haven't brought to trial yet.
Yeah, that's right. Just sitting there.
And I find it interesting. There was a time when there was a remand prison where you put a whole lot of people who have the presumption of innocence, but we lock them up. That distresses me. That thinks that there's a system. Are they waiting too long to go through the system? So there's two issues really. The first issue is that should we treat, because we're treating people who have not been convicted as anything in the same way as we treat the people who are convicted, because they're now part of the general prison population. And my second question would be, we seem to be holding people for quite some period of time. And when you look in the paper that says, they've been arrested, they've been, and the next mentioned date is in May.
That's right.
You think, I'm sorry, there's an issue here.
2.5 month gap or whatever.
Yes. What I've found, there is an alternative that the English use, which I think in some ways is worse. Because in England there's a requirement that you be brought to court within 28 days of being charged or being bailed. So what they do in England is that you're released under investigation. So we don't require you to answer bail, but it could then take several years for a matter to be resolved, which is quite possibly worse.
You had some news to bring to us as well?
Well, would start with some homework from last week. Ray from Elwood rang in relation to a friend of his who was 69 and now thought it was appropriate to apply for the age pension. And it turns out that Ray's friend hadn't lodged an income tax return for 14 years.
I remember, yes.
And when I looked at the transcript of last week's program, I see that he really couldn't be bothered lodging his income tax returns. Mm-hmm. So I found it interesting. On the one hand, he says you have an obligation to pay me, but I'm going to ignore my obligation to report my income. So let's put that one to one side and then say that Section 43 of the Social Security Act said a person is qualified for an age pension if the person has reached pension age and has had a 10 years qualifying Australian residence. So Ray's friend meets the threshold.
Wow.
I could find nothing in the Social Security Act that says that there was an ability to decline. But at the same time, he could get a notice from the tax office requiring him to lodge his income tax returns.
Well, which is a separate issue
Yes.
anyway, and a legal requirement in any case.
Well, if you have, it's interesting. There's a general notice issued by the tax office every year calling on everybody to lodge an income tax return, and you have an obligation if you have a taxable income.
Yes, if you've earned a certain amount.
Yes.
But my question at the time, I remember last week, was how would the bod standing behind the counter at Centrelink know whether this person has or hasn't lodged income tax returns? Come on. The systems aren't that well hooked up. I can tell
Well,
you.
I really wouldn't be surprised. My view is you lodge an income tax return, Centrelink gets told.
You know what?
Yep.
You try and deal with these agencies peer-to-peer and see if agency to agency can even talk to each other. Let me tell you, David, they cannot.
Well, I accept that.
From bitter experience.
And they have call centres with contracted labour. So
oh no, I can't call them. Oh no, we can't ask them. Oh no, Centrelink can't tell us, and on it goes.
And do you know Centrelink's not amenable to a subpoena? If you want to subpoena Centrelink records, I'm sorry, you can't have them.
See what I mean?
Yes. All right.
Our number is 1300 222 774. And John in Research is first up. Hi, John.
Oh, top of the morning to you. Yeah, look, entrapment as a defence for a parking fine, parking under the Westgate Bridge, because the car park at the convention centre was full, and I didn't know.
Hang on. You want to plead entrapment for a parking fine?
That's
So
right.
I love it, John. I love it.
Who entrapped you, John?
Well, the city council did, because they didn't put any signs up for no parking, in an area where it's, these enormous stanchions holding up the Westgate, and you don't really realise that you're in a median strip, which is what I
John,
contravene.
no. You have to be saying to us, look, a guy stood there with a sign saying, psst, psst, hey, you want to get a park? Hey, come over here. Then you parked and they go, aha, gotcha. If you haven't got that story, you're not going to impress me.
Well, me and 6 other guys all got pinged the same day.
Yes.
Because of a big convention that was full, at the convention centre. So,
But you drove over the curb to get onto this area, didn't you,
no
John?
curb. It's a beautiful rollover curb with
that's the
granolithic sand to promote good traction. It looks quite inviting as an area to get off the road, because you've got these stanchions you can park in between.
Yes.
You're way off the road.
Yep.
And it looks safe,
So are we going to have a go at the council, or are we going to have a go at Vic Roads, who constructed it?
I'm booked for a hearing in front of a magistrate.
Well, John, pay the money. I just don't see entrapment's going to get you there.
I think it will.
Well, it's just a spurious legislation was brought in 2017 they're relating to. How are we supposed to know that? It's against the law.
So which road rule is it against?
To park in a median strip.
Oh, okay.
It's 2017.
All right. Well, I'm very sorry for you, John. I've probably done the same thing. But I haven't got a ticket, but I'll remember for next time.
Sorry, mate. Well, let us know how the Magistrates Court's appearance goes, will you?
Thank you.
Good on you. Jenny, we've lost that. We're going to go to Jenny in Ballarat, but I don't think I've got Jenny anymore. Do we have her there? Yeah, I was trying to pick up 5. But anyway, I don't seem to have it. Okay, I'm going to have to try again for that. Let's see if we can get it now. Jenny, are you there?
Yes, I am, Virginia.
There we are.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Hi, Jenny.
I have an advanced care directive in which I state that I have a do not resuscitate.
Yes.
And I want to know if I have that tattooed on my chest, if it's a legally binding instruction.
Oh, Jenny.
How long would it take somebody to read it?
Not long.
Well, the
it's-
advanced care...
The advanced care directive is several
What if it
pages.
says DNR?
Well, I just want the do not resuscitate.
That won't qualify as an advanced care directive unless you also sign it and have it witnessed.
What if she does sign it, has it witnessed, and the signature and the witness is on the tattoo? Jenny?
The answer would be yes, it would be. All right.
Would you really
Okay,
do
Jenny,
that?
but can I suggest that what you do is that you get the advanced care directive loaded onto the My Health website. And that then becomes notice to every medical practitioner and to every person who in a hospital or an aged care facility is providing you with the resources. That's the notice that they've received. Far less painful, I would have thought, than a tattoo.
Jenny, just stay on the line for a second. I'll come back to you. I want to share this news. Adam Bandt has been elected the new Greens leader. That was well expected. It was going to be a pretty bloodless transition of leadership there. I think we can have a listen to the announcement of this.
Uncontested for that position. So Adam Bandt is now the Australian Greens parliamentary leader. We then have made decisions over the other positions. Senate Leader, uncontested, is Larissa Waters. The position, and co-deputy. So she's co-deputy and Senate Leader. The position of Deputy Senate Leader and co-deputy was contested. We had 3 people contesting that. We had Sarah Hanson-Young, Nick McKim and Maureen Faruqi. The first ballot was tied. It was 4-3-3. When you distributed preferences, it was tied. So we held a second ballot. The second ballot with the distribution of preferences, preferences was 4-4-2. Distribution of preferences then resulted in Nick McKim winning that ballot. So he is now our Deputy Senate Leader and co-deputy.
All right. So Adam Bandt has got the leadership and you have co-deputies there of Nick McKim and Larissa Waters. And that seemed to have been done in a reasonably bloodless way. So that's the situation with the Greens. We do hope to be hearing from Adam Bandt before the end of our program this morning about his new direction for the Greens when we heard that Richard Di Natale was stepping down yesterday. I'm being told to please stop interrupting you, David. Am I interrupting you, David?
It's your program, Virginia.
And that's what I think.
I just fill the gaps.
Exactly right. It's called a conversation, people. You'll hear from David. You'll get his legal advice. But no, I won't stop butting in because I get to run the show. Jenny, just to wrap up with you, why do you want this DNR tattooed on your chest?
Yeah, my concern, Virginia, was more for if I keeled over in the street and some well-meaning person went and got a
Not because you don't trust your family or anything like that.
Oh, no. It was just that emergency situation.
Yep.
I've got my answer and that's fine.
Good on
I think, Jenny, yes, but, if you fell over in the street and someone was going to perform CPR, they wouldn't be exposing your chest just to make sure.
All right,
perhaps you put on your forehead.
Please. We have Sean in Lower Plenty. Hello.
Yeah, good morning, David. I've got a bit of an unusual one for you. We've just finished building our house. We had a council planning permit. We've got a building permit from the building surveyor. Passed all our inspectors all the way through, finished the house, got a certificate of occupancy, but on the same day got a show cause notice, building notice, saying we have to change the garage to a carport. Yep, we've built everything as per the plans.
Who issued the show cause notice? Council?
No, the same building surveyor who issued us the building permit and stamped the plan.
And
he's saying he's been forced by the VBA to do it because we've had a resident, not a direct neighbour, just once someone down there the street complaining, and he's complained to the VBA constantly during the whole build process.
Right.
And then finally VBA have contacted the building surveyor to shut him up and said, there's contention about the setback and how it's measured, etc. And
yes,
we've measured, or the building surveyor's measured one way, and we're not in the setback. The VBA is saying, well, we believe you are, and therefore change the garage to a carport.
Right. What do you want to do?
Well, what avenues do I have to fight it? I know that the building surveyor's got the power to cancel the notice.
Yes, you could probably, my view is you can appeal the notice, but you go to the Building Appeals Board and is where you're looking at it. Is this because you're not in a building envelope? What's the issue?
No, there's no building envelope. There's just this one neighbour complaining.
I know there's one neighbour claiming, but the neighbour must be complaining on the basis of, Sean has not done the right thing in that, right? And is the problem is you're too close to the boundary, you're not properly constructed? What's the issue? Well,
he believes, and the VBA is saying that we're within the front setback. The garage is in the front setback. But we're on inner court, and you've got a radius on our front building line.
Yes.
And the building surveyor and the land surveyors I've spoken to, they measure a perpendicular off that front building line to get your setback.
Yes.
And then when
but
it gets around to the side
but because of the curve, you're in fact closer than that at the point where the garage is constructed.
Yeah,
it's almost like in order to be fully compliant, you'd have to have a curved front of the house.
Pretty much, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I would be looking. You're going to have to do some research, and you're going to have to pay somebody to do some of this for you, Sean. Have a look at. There's a website called Austli, AUSTLII.edu.au.
Where all the legal decisions
where
are?
where there's lots and lots of legal decisions. Whether there's any from the Building Appeals Board or not, I'm not sure, but there will be VCAT decisions, and I'm sure there will be some that touch upon it, and it is possible to go to Building Appeals to review a decision such as that.
Yeah, I just find we've done everything right. We've paid everyone to get permits.
No, sorry.
paid council
Sorry.
advertising.
What you've done is you've done everything you thought was right, and somebody's now come along and said, I have this problem. I would be coming to the building surveyor, and I'd be saying, building surveyor, I think this is really your problem because you told us in granting the building permit that we were complying with every regulation.
Yeah.
Good luck.
So you can't simply pass the buck back to the building surveyor, but you can share the pain.
Yeah, and then the council's saying that they didn't consider the setbacks when they approved the planning permit, so they want to wash their hands of it as well.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
Okay.
good luck, Sean. Thanks for calling in. Fiona's in Hazelwood North, I think, with another question about advanced care directives. Is that right?
Yes, sorry about that.
Sorry.
Sorry about the repeating the theme, but I just want to ask about the paperwork that I have set up for my elderly mother. I have enduring power of attorney medical treatment and enduring power of attorney, but I wonder, is the advanced care directive also required for her?
Okay, you may have some old-fashioned documents that will continue to work beautifully, Fiona.
Okay.
We no longer have, in that you can no longer do an enduring power of attorney medical treatment.
Okay.
All right? That's although the ones that you've got are grandfathered by the legislation and continue to take effect.
Okay.
There's now a document called the appointment of a medical treatment decision maker.
Yes, I've got that in front of me as well.
Right. It works slightly better than the old enduring power of attorney medical treatment because it allows you to provide a list of people. And if I can't get the first one, I ring the second one. If I can't get the second one, I ring the third one. As opposed to the old system, which required you to wait a period of time before you contacted the second one. Right.
Okay.
So that works better from that point of view. Now,
So you would recommend getting that?
well, if you're the only person who's on the enduring power of attorney medical treatment, and you'll be the only person on the advanced care on the appointment of a medical treatment decision maker, then no, there's just no point because they will do exactly the same thing, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Now, the next issue is that an advanced care directive is a binding obligation or binding direction by the person receiving care.
Yes.
So you have a series of discretions at the moment as I'll call you the secondary decision maker.
Yes.
But exactly what your mother wants and how she expresses it will be entirely up to you because there's no record of what she wanted.
Right, yep.
So if you do an advanced care directive,
Yes.
or your mum does an advanced care directive and she fills it out the way it's supposed to be filled out. And
That was another question I had, actually.
the usual
does she
practice
physically
is,
have to fill that in?
well, my difficulty, what are you going to do? Have 40 copies? Put one in the bag for when she goes to hospital? The best place for it is on the My Health website.
Yes,
where if your mum was admitted to hospital, they will look her up.
Mm-hmm.
She gives it to a local doctor.
Okay. So
they are, the way I would describe it is that I want you to think of the advanced care directive as your mother's rules.
Yes. Well, I've talked
And-
to her about that and I've got all those.
And then there will be some limited discretion that you get as the medical treatment decision maker.
Okay.
But if there's no rules from mum, then
Yes.
it's entirely up to you.
So the advanced care directive is not essential?
No.
Oh,
No.
good. Okay. Well, that's what I wanted to find out,
Okay.
really.
Sorry for the
Yeah.
long-winded explanation.
No, that's good. No, you've been very helpful.
Absolutely. Thanks for calling in. I think it's always really good to get these calls because it's an ongoing issue, as you know better than anyone, David. And many people are confused by it and also about updating it. And
Yes.
it's of huge concern to so many families and many that I know of as well. Peter in Aspendale Gardens, hi. Good morning.
Hi, Peter.
Hello, Peter.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Go ahead. Peter, are you there? Okay, I think we've got a slight problem with... I can hear that he's there, but it might just be a little issue with speaking to us this morning. Remy is in Flemington. Good morning, Remy.
Good morning. How are you?
Good, thanks. Go ahead.
Victoria and David.
I'm a taxi driver. I stopped to drop a person in a not clear zone, a no-stop area in Exhibition Street near the Victoria Vic Road's office.
Yes.
And the person was on scratches. And the council office took my photo and they sent me a fine.
Yes.
On the picture, I can see the person standing on the scratches. He can't even walk. Only one leg he can put on the floor. Otherwise, it's just like nimbing. And I write to the council, and council wrote, no, you can't stop in a no-stop area for whatever reason. Because we carry many people.
Remy, can I say that's legislation that has frustrated me for a long time and frustrates lots of motorists. There is a difference between no standing and no parking, right? No standing means absolutely that, as you can't pull up the vehicle. Now, I know lots of us do. I do quite regularly.
No matter who's in the taxi.
Yeah. No matter who's in the taxi.
And the person cannot walk. That's the reason
I understand that.
Yeah.
And, there may be some way of dealing with but from a legislative point of view, I see your other problem is that you don't actually have enough information about the patient or the person you are carrying to provide their story as part of the excuse.
No, I do have his contact number because he also saw the passenger also this row and he gave me his contact number.
Yes, well, I think that would be fantastic if the council was better, but there's no obligation.
Good luck. That's something it seems you can't really argue when it comes to who was in your car. Although if you're
most people can't. If you were a taxi, you drop somebody off and a picture turns up.
You'd think there'd be some leeway. David, great to talk to you about this. We'll see you next week. Thank you so much. David Whiting, your Talkback lawyer.